takes us straight to Kate Hudson, who, with Ken, was in at the beginning of Left Unity 18 months ago. She's Left Unity's National Secretary, and she's been on the tour, at least a lot of the tour, with Eduardo and Marina, talking about doing politics differently. Kate.
Thanks very much indeed, Liz. And it's good to see so many people here this evening. Parties with politics like ours are on the verge of power. Podemos has gone from nothing to in excess of 20% in the polls currently. They're rivaling now, challenging the Spanish Socialist Party. They may supersede that party in the same way that Syriza in Greece has superseded PASOK, the former Social Democratic Party. And Syriza itself, as Marina said, has gone in a matter of 10 years or even less from around 4.5% in the polls to 35%, and will form the next government of Greece. So it's momentous events, though, as they've explained, that have led to that situation where they are in those positions of challenging for power. The very destruction of Greek society through which Syriza has built as the force which is fighting back and organising the people and defending the communities. In Spain, unemployment, the evictions, corruption, the mass popular revulsion with corruption and the establishment has led to that huge breakthrough there. And there are some elements of those issues here with us today in Britain. Not yet to the same extent, but I think we would be deluding ourselves if we thought we were in some kind of different political framework. So the question, I think, is, can we build a party like theirs? Left parties like theirs, similar to theirs, exist across Europe. Every country in Western Europe, at least, has a left party which share many of the same characteristics and have some or more or equal, almost in some countries, support to the parties we have with us tonight. And that was one of the bases on which Left Unity was founded. Every other country has a left party that you can fight for, an alternative left party with a new vision of socialism and environmentalism and feminism. Britain needs one too, and that was the basis on which Left Unity was founded. Now, I was very struck by one thing in particular that Eduardo said. He talked about the duopoly of power which used to exist in Spain, the kind of socialists, social democratic so-called party, and the conservative party in Spain that had a duopoly of power, just like we've had a duopoly of power here in Britain. But as Eduardo said, in Spain, that's gone to a monopoly of power between two organisations that are now virtually the same. And that is, of course, exactly what other speakers have said that we face here in Britain today. There is no mainstream party of the left. There are just two mainstream neoliberal parties. And that was a crucial factor in the founding of Left Unity. There is a big space to the left of Labour, and there has to be a broad party of the left, which can be a mass party of the left, which can fill that space and pose that alternative for the people of Britain. But in the year since our foundation, another factor has come very strongly to the fore, which is also a factor in Eduardo's situation in Spain. He's talked of a mass popular revulsion with corruption and the establishment, and that same feeling, I think, has accelerated here in Britain over the last year beyond all expectations. Day after day, week after week, more and more exposés of the corruption of their entire political elite in Britain. But whereas in Spain and in Greece, that revulsion has led to a rise and to an increase in the left or the new politics in those countries, the left is not the recipient of that anti-establishment feeling in Britain to a great extent. The recipient of that is UKIP, posing as an anti-establishment party, posing as doing things different, yet just peddling pernicious, racist, anti-immigration policies and capitalising on the disenchantment of ordinary people. People are moving to UKIP for those reasons. And of course, Labour, in the past, maybe we would have imagined that Labour would actually stand up and say, well, no, actually, it's not the fault of immigrants, the problems we're facing in our country today. Unfortunately, Labour now, what do they call it, triangulates? Labour triangulates to the right and embraces anti-immigration rhetoric. So we can't stand for this. We can't stand by and see this happen. Together, we have to pose an alternative from the left, which will be, from the left unity perspective, it will be socialist, feminist, environmentalist. That's the kind of alternative we want. We would all agree it would be anti-cuts, it would be anti-racist, anti-war. We could all together here this evening agree on the entire list of policies that we would like, the principles that we stand on. That is how much we share today in common. But it's not only a question of policies. It's also, I think, as we've heard this evening, it's about how we do politics itself. That we have to do politics differently, and it has to be framed differently, both from the establishment of the right, the establishment politics of the right, and also it has to be done differently, as Ken has touched on, from the past practice of the left. It has to be a new way of doing politics. And this is a commitment which unites our three parties here this evening. That we're open, accountable, inclusive, participatory, big words, hard to achieve, but we have to embrace those things and work on them, towards them. And in the founding of Left Unity, one thing particularly from the experience of Syriza, which certainly inspired me and has shaped part of our policy-making process in Left Unity, was watching Syriza's Foreign Policy Commission online, watching all their debates, dozens, if not 100 people in an enormous room debating all the international issues, how Syriza would respond to that, what they will do in government in those kind of contexts. And that inspired the formation within Left Unity of policy commissions to have open debate and discussion about the policies which Left Unity adopts. Again, a difficult process. These processes take time. Sometimes people are impatient and say, you've been up and running for a year, why haven't you got policy on this and that? That is because it is a long process, and it's a process which is worth every moment that is spent on it, because there is no alternative to popular and democratic engagement within the party and in the party's entire dealings. Now, of course, we're more modest than Podemos, I should say. We have the same ambitions, but we're more modest. Just to say, Podemos's conference, which is taking place around the same time as Left Unity's forthcoming national conference, they're going to have 20,000 people attending that conference in a stadium and 100,000 others participating online. But in our halting first steps, Left Unity has been struggling for a new culture, prioritising the importance of the question of access for disabled people to participate in our meetings and in our gatherings, and spread that culture throughout all the parts, all our 50 branches of our new party. Gender parity is something that we're fighting and struggling to achieve in a really genuine way in our leading bodies. Online participation. We elect our leadership by online balloting of all our members. We have a one-member, one-vote party. We're struggling to achieve something new, and we believe that it's worth it. I believe that we can't just sit and wait for a Podemos moment. That's happened very rapidly for you. We can't wait for a Podemos moment. I believe we need to build our new party, working with others. Syriza, perhaps more similar model to ours in terms of gradual development, starting from a small beginning and then winning confidence and winning support through your principled position and your social solidarity. Some people say over the past few days, Eduardo and Marina and Ken and I have been in different parts of the country, some people have said, but look, there's no point in voting. This is what they hear on the streets. There's no point in voting. All the parties are the same. It doesn't make any difference who you vote for. I think that we have to show them to be wrong, and I think that we must together create that party that we want to vote for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.